Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with a deck tech. This is a challenge from a patron of mine to build an Axis of Mortality plus Doom Whisperer deck. So if you don't understand the combo, it's actually a pretty sweet combo. So what we're trying to do here is get the Axis of Mortality out, where at the beginning of your upkeep you may have 2 target players exchange life totals, and then use something like Doom Whisperer. And of course, this is the preferred way to pay all of our life before we then switch it through Axis of Mortality. What I like about this combo is the curve is right on curve. You have a 5-drop Doom Whisperer into a 6-drop Axis of Mortality. Now, if you want to be serious with this deck, you probably don't want to go full out on the Axis of Mortality, as it's terrible in multiples. That's the one thing I've been finding with this deck. And I'm sure this deck needs some tuning before it's actually going to be even somewhat competitive. But it's really, really fun when it does go off. The mana's not where I think that it could be with the shock land. So the mana's going to be more perfect in the next set, and maybe we'll get some cards that actually support it. But right now, let's just go through the deck tech. So the other card that works out really well is the Arguel's Bloodfast. Arguel's Bloodfast is something you can pay 2 life for 2 mana. You can literally get yourself way low with Arguel's Bloodfast and then just swap it with the Axis of Mortality. This is something that also digs towards your Axis or your Doom Whisperer. And if life isn't an issue, if you can guarantee on it to be swapped, this is a nice little addition to the deck. Then we need some removal slots. I'm running Cast Down and Moment of Craving as our two mana removal spell. Cast Down, of course, can take care of cards like the Steel Leaf Champions. It misses some of the legendary creatures, but I think you need some sort of removal in this slot. We're also in Moment of Craving just because we need to stabilize, and it does have the synergy with Arguel's Bloodfast to kind of pay for the 2 life that you're going to be using with Arguel's Bloodfast later on. 3 Seekers Squires. 3 seems to be the right number. You want at least 1 to chump and to explore towards getting your Axis of Mortality or Doom Whisperer. Then Treasure Map is our premier card to dig as well, as this is going to get you the treasures to also ramp you towards casting multiple cards in one turn, often is what it is. And when this flips, it does give you the ability to like cast the Axis and then have the 3 mana back to do something to like rip out your opponent's creature or something. So I like Treasure Map as the scry ability and just the sacrifice of treasures later on. 2 Settle the Wreckage for added control, as well as 2 Cleansing Novas. So we have nice little sweepers from white, 4 Vraska's Contempts to really clear the board, and then 3 Creeping Chill. There is a synergy with the Doom Whisperer. So here's the combo. So once you have Doom Whisperer and Axis of Mortality out, what you're going to do is you're going to surveil with the Doom Whisperer over and over and over and over until you find a Creeping Chill on top, and then you'll leave it on top, allow your opponent to switch life totals with you with the Axis of Mortality, and then you can surveil 1 more time. So this will happen before, so it goes untap, upkeep, draw. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you may exchange life totals. And once you've exchanged life totals, then you can use 1 more Doom Whisperer Surveil to then Creeping Chill for your opponent for lethal. So I had 4 Creeping Chills. I'm down to 3. I think this is the right number. It's pretty bad except for the combo. Like, you don't want to be paying 4 mana. This is a card that gets stuck in your hand quite often, and I'm not even sure it's actually worth it. There might just be a better way to ping down an opponent than relying on Creeping Chill. But it's pretty neat when this actually does work, where you go the Doom Whisperer, keep it on top, and then kill your opponent after the Axis of Mortality triggers. Then we have of course, the Doom Whisperer as our slot here. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of creatures to eat removal before Doom Whisperer comes out. It's just kind of we just have to deal with it. And then 2 Eldest Reborn, 2 for added control, to then utilize our opponent's stuff that we've killed. I don't know if this is the right card to put in this slot too, if we need to go like more cast downs rather than up to the Eldest Reborn. But it's a good grindy card, and it can get back a Doom Whisperer that's been killed. And I think I had it in here. It's kind of a relic that I had Plaguecrafters and Ravenous Chupacabras. So in all honesty, this is probably the card that might need to be cut. The Eldest Reborn puts some other cards like the Dead Weights or more cast downs / Moment of Craving, or even something as simple as putting like a Murder early on to, or a Seal Away could go easily in this slot rather than the Eldest Reborn. We're going to keep it for now though. And then we're just going to run it's going to be 7 of each of the basics, And then we have 4 Forsaken Sanctuaries, 4 Isolated Chapels. That puts us at 18, and then we're going to get the Field of Ruins. Field of Ruins, we do need to get rid of some of the problematic lands. It also is a way for us to pseudo-fix in this deck. So sideboard right now, I don't really have a good sideboard strategy. We're running another Settle the Wreckage, one of Ixalan's Binding. This could be another one that could also replace the Eldest Reborn. 1 Profane Procession. This is another one for the grindy matchups that seems pretty good. A Plaguecrafter we can bring in. 2 Golden Demises to sweep out the early board. 2 Sorcerous Spyglass to take care of Planeswalkers or other decks have activated abilities. And the 3 Tocatli Honor Guard. This is a good card right now versus Golgari. Everything in their deck has ETB effects. And if you can shut down that ETB effect, then it really makes their deck quite dirtly. It's just like casting a bunch of bears and ogres all day long when they don't get the triggers off of their entry to the battlefield. And of course, 4 Duresses that can just be replaced by all the removal here versus the decks that don't have a lot of creatures, and then you can rip out their good cards here. So let's go ahead and play one quick match here. I'm going to try to stream this sometime. Again, it doesn't have the best showing at the moment. Because we still need to tune the deck. I have to figure out the meta, and once we figure out the meta, we can decide on the right cards for the right slots. But hopefully we can get this to go off, and if not, hopefully at least we get to see something besides like Mana Screw or something usually when I try to do these deck techs. Very keepable hand. We have the Axis of Mortality. We have a nice curve. We have a 2 into a 3. This treasure map's a lot of times a 3-drop into a 4-drop, so we're definitely going to keep this. We're also going first. We have the Forsaken Sanctuary into Swamp and Isolated Chapel, so perfect mana this game. So back to doing what I love to do most, brewing janky decks. I had a point in my YouTube career where I kind of had a stick up my butt, where I was so hyper-focused on making competitive decks that I forgot what kind of made the Rogue Deck Builder special. Now, I am a Johnny Spike. I do want my decks to be competitive, so I'm not just going to brew jank for jank's sake. I want them to work. So this is the exploration with this card. And big shout out to Chance for actually sponsoring this video, for funding. We spent 100 tickets to get this damn thing. Arena's not cheap when you need specific cards, and that's what it took to actually find the numbers. Alright, so let's just go with the Seekers Squire. And then we will explore. Hopefully we get a land here. I'm going to keep that on my top of my library. Yeah, it'll help us dig. And then we have the Isolated Chapel with the treasure map next turn. We'll click on some crows while we're waiting. Get out of here, crow. Okay, so blue-black is going to be extremely annoying. We're going to go ahead and attack in first. And hopefully my opponent just doesn't have a main board negate. And if there's a main board negate, then my opponent deserves to lose, because its main board negate's really terrible in today's meta. Treasure map's going to give my opponent a hard time. I'm going to actually keep the other treasure map, I believe. Yeah, I think that if we're going against blue-black control, treasure maps are just very, very tough. So if one's good, this one should get countered. And I'm okay with my opponent countering this. We'll flip the other treasure map. My opponent does look like they're in Esper. And Doom Whisperer, I want to keep it on top, but I need lands terribly bad. That's fine. Esper control in the casual queue, huh? Man, talk about tryhards. Alright, so we're going to flip the treasure map next turn. And I should have put a stop there. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and attack in. My opponent missed a land drop, so we're in great shape there. And yeah, I think it's fine to go Arguel's Bloodfast. See if this one gets countered. It does, so we'll go ahead and just flip this. And definitely want that on top. And I'm going to put a stop on my untap. No, I'm not. I don't need it now. And that doesn't get countered. Sinister Sabotage for the Bloodfast. My opponent's just shooting off counter spells on anything because they're a typical bad blue control player that just does that. Doesn't try to preserve them. These, honestly, they probably both were cards that needed to be countered. There's the dreaded Search for Azcanta. We get another Isolated Chapel, so we can actually get the Doom Whisperer out. We'll go ahead and attack in. And this is kind of a weird... Yeah, we'll throw it out. Probably shouldn't have tapped my Treasure Cove there, but it's fine. And an Essence Scatter. Of course, there's an Essence Scatter now. If the Vesper control, it just has all the counter spells on queue. We might be able to get there with just the Seekers Squire attacking in. My opponent throws out a Teferi. Of course, he got a Teferi. Of course, they have the counter spells and the Teferis.
Trust me, I'm known for. Let's skip to the good part.
But we can Vraska Contempt, hopefully, and get rid of this Teferi. And hopefully my opponent doesn't have a negate. Another land's fine. We'll go ahead and Contempt the Teferi. Yeah, this is a bad main for us to try to... We have a lot of removal. We get a lot better versus this deck post. Now, I think I'm just going to draw a card. Still, the card advantage is pretty terrible compared to my opponent with, yeah, we're going to draw a lot of this nonsense. So countering the Arguel's Bloodfast and the treasure map was rough. My opponent's got another Teferi, we're just done for. Ridiculous. Of course. Stupid card.
I can no longer I know my responsibility.
So, had the nuts versus what we had for sure. And I don't have an answer now for Teferi, the second one. Hopefully we can get like an Eldest Reborn. Other than now, my opponent has Counterspell Magic up, and I guarantee that's what the entire deck is, just Counterspell Teferi. Alright, so let's go to our turn. Get another. I don't think going after Teferi is the right, because we have a Creeping Chill that possibly could just win the game. Let's get rid of another treasure. Hopefully it gets us something good before this gets out of... Well, let's just make our opponent waste a counterspell. Come on, you're a bad blue player. You want to cast a counterspell here. You can do it. Yeah, okay. Alright. Well, it's not as bad as I thought. But cards like Teferi can just definitely get too much card advantage.
Hurry!
I do need to find an Eldest Reborn or another Vraska Contempt, but at this point I don't think there's any coming back. Yeah, so much card advantage. With this deck, we just don't apply enough pressure for Teferi. Another Seekers Squire. And another Plains, yikes. Well, Seekers Squire is going to go at my opponent. Down to 6, we're 2 Creeping Chills away. Oy, 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 another land. Not going to cast the Creeping Chill. I'm gonna actually kill my own Seeker just so my opponent can't gain life. Could have another moment to kill this one. Okay, that's fine. Didn't want my opponent gaining life because we're into range for the Creeping Chill. But anyway. Yeah, Teferi's just gonna win this. Especially now without being able to dig. So, apologize for the grindy Esper deck. In the casual queue. Okay, decline this. And hopefully get something. Okay. We get another one. Land galore. So maybe I should have played around to try to get the Argos Bloodfast to hit earlier on, because this definitely would have... Another Teferi. Can find the Teferis. Is there anything I can... I don't think I can even draw out of this, to be honest. And Teferi, the win condition, I believe, at this deck is going to be just the tucking Teferis. Well, I'm okay with... That seems to be a bad trade for a treasure map that adds for colorless mana. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a good trade. So we don't have a lot of lands left in our deck. But I guarantee we're not going to resolve anything from here on out. So I'm going to try to bait out a counterspell with a Creeping Chill. I don't think that it's going to do anything. In fact, probably my opponent has multiple counterspells in hand. Well... We'll kill this Search for Azcanta. Maybe that will get my opponent to cast something. I mean, that at least was a better than a basic land. We've been drawing all lands. 4, 5, 6, 7. Vraska's Contempt finds. Isn't the greatest card versus us at the moment. We'll go get another Swamp. And yeah, Teferi can just ultimate here and start killing all my lands. And I believe this is over. And then the search will also... Again, I believe this is just a tuck. We haven't seen any other win cons. There might just be one Chromium in the deck.
Sorry I'm late. Keep up the pace.
Well, we'd have to hit like so many running cards here, and I don't think it's possible. Yeah, there's got to be one Chromium in this deck. It's just probably a stock Esper list. And a Doom Whisper is definitely not going to see the light of day. My opponent doesn't even have to counter it. They can just draw and kill it. It has a Essence Scatter. And I'm sure it has a Sinister Sabotage. And I've seen enough. There's no way we can come back. Womp womp. We'll play one more because Esper's just pure garbage to play against. Good thing is, though, you won't actually go up against Esper that much. Most of the decks do really well against. If you establish like a 1 and a 2 drop, you see how slow they are at coming back. We'll hurry and play another one. We'll give this... I think it doesn't matter if we queue up. We have a high likelihood of getting the same person. We had everything going for us. Maybe I misplayed that. Again, if we had another match, we can slip in like an Arguel's Bloodfast, and a lot of times that will be the difference between winning and losing that game, where we can keep up with the card advantage. You start to post sideboard, you get to get rid of a bunch of stuff. This is kind of a weird hand. We'll keep it though. You get rid of a bunch of like dead cards, like all the removal. So does your opponent, but I think we have a better sideboard. All right, so that was a good draw with the Isolated Chapel. Hopefully this gets us another land. We're gonna graveyard this Axis. It's so far away from being played. We just need to definitely find ways to stabilize. There's the land. And get in for 2. Getting in for damage is kind of weird with this deck. Now I didn't want to play anything with my opponent, as they will just... See, I think maybe even adding like a knight, some way to pressure where my opponent has to keep in removal, and that way we can slip in. Or maybe I just need to go the Ravenous Chupacabras. So Lightning Strike K, I could have played around a counter spell. Hopefully my opponent just taps out for a Drake, and then we can go Eldest Reborn. Alright, well, I gotta go for the treasure map. If it gets countered, it gets countered. What is up with these blue decks today? Apparently they just like to lose against Golgari. We'll do another Seekers Squire. Now a shock on a Seekers Squire. Now we got a Doom Whisper next turn. And it's getting countered, I'm sure. It indeed does. And that's the bad counter spell, because now I can't get my card back. Well, we'll do another one. See if this one gets countered. Oh, blue is so much fun to play against. Throws a Banefire away. So this is some sort of Azur's Gateway list, or is what I'm thinking this is? Well, we get our third Seeker Squire. At least we're drawing pretty good here. And we get a land. Unfortunately, my opponent has plenty of mana now for the expansion to Explosion. See if there's another counter spell. That one hits. Awesome. So that treasure map's going to be really good. We don't care about a land. We'll scry that away. And I need to start putting a stop there on the untap. I'll do that next. Cast down, I think we're going to get rid of. And yeah, we don't need to do Eldest Reborn or anything. We'll just pass it up. See if a big expansion to Explosion comes. Yeah, it's just that the sideboard's really good versus these blue decks because Duress is so super good at ripping out cards. Throw the Forsaken Sanctuary, treasure map, flips. We can go to draw now. Doesn't matter. We'll get another land. And attack in. Yeah, we got to put some sort of other pressure, I would say. Get rid of something like the Eldest Reborn, maybe down to 1 of. And just throw a creature that has some sort of value. I wonder if something like the 3/2 zombie, when a zombie dies or when a creature dies, draw a card. No, that's probably not pressure enough. It'd be something... What? Blue, maybe for Thief. Maybe we need to splash for... like a must-answer card advantage card. Or like even History of Benalia might actually do pretty well here. So we're going to bait out a counterspell here. Oh, really? I thought for sure we'd get a counterspell to come from that. Because I definitely would have... There's a Creeping Chill. We're getting closer with just the damage. I don't think we're going to get the combo off versus most of these blue decks. Hey, we get another treasure map, and it's Scryin, and that's a card we don't have to draw. So yeah, Axis is most likely not going to happen this game. We're out of Doom Whisperers. This is going to be rough. Jeez, another land. And Settle the Wreckage is pretty bad. Keep getting in here for our Seekers Squire. I mean, eventually it can get us the... I think we're just going to die to a big expansion to explosion. Unfortunately. Get a scry, hopefully another land at the bottom. Indeed it is. And this flips over, so now we can draw a card. And we get another Plains. We get a draw, though, for the turn. And we get another treasure map. Which this one actually does hit. So we're keeping up good with the card advantage. I guess we keep the Creeping Chill because those can actually kill our opponent. Opponent's pretty flooded too. Jeez. Yeah, way high lands. Don't need to scry. We can draw. Now we'll scry. And definitely want Arguel's Blood fast. Gotta think my opponent's found some more counter spells. There's another counter spell. Keeps it on top. And we find another land past the turn. We have one more Creeping Chill in the deck. So we need to put a stop here. Oh boy. Don't want this Vraska's Contempt. Another Cleansing Nova. Back is Lightning Strike, sure. We'll play yet another land. And now we have a Doom Whisperer, which I'll cast. Probably get Essence Scattered. Disdainful Stroked. And pass it up. So looking for my opponent's Demanding Dragon's fine. Once again, we'll Vraska's Contempt it. Hopefully it gets out of Counterspell. It does not get out of Counterspell. You gotta think they would protect... Decided not to protect the Demanding Dragon. All right, so at this point, I think we just have to put out the Eldest Reborn. That's the last Sinister Sabotage. That's number 4. Oh no, that's number 3? I swear that was number 4. Yeah, we're gonna go with Eldest Reborn. That way we can get back a Doom Whisperer, and maybe that will actually get the job done. Doesn't have enough for a Syncopate. Could have another Disdainful Stroke. I can just pay it. So I need to avoid like a Crackling Dragon here now. Or Crackling Drake. Opponent gets to discard a card. If it does, though, gotta be like Expansion Explosion would be rough because my opponent would draw 8 cards. Running out of like... Wonder what my opponent uses for win cons. Besides those. Banefire for 11, huh? Okay. We'll throw out these Creeping Chills then. Oh boy. That's a risk factor, huh? Creeping Chill 1. Creeping Chill 2. Unfortunately, demanding dragons away. Oh, yeah, these lands. Okay. Because I'd love to hit my opponents either Crackling Drake or Demanding Dragon. Unfortunately, Vraska's Contempt them. Gonna go for an opt over, well, yeah, over Risk Factor probably. We have to find our last Creeping Chill. Never thought that this would be the way we'd actually win this. And my opponent can draw another Banefire for the win. We'll get a Doom Whisperer. And that gives a little bit of a padding to use the Moment of Craving. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get the Axis of Mortality swap over. And we actually won that. So you didn't get to see any sort of victory with the Axis of Mortality. We're going against the blue decks. I don't have time to play another game. We'll try to stream this deck or some other decks that I'm working on. I'll show you a quick little update of decks I'm working on. And we'll call it good. So the Mnemonic, I've done a deck tech for this before. Just go in and check it out. It's been updated a little bit. Azur's Gateway with Mnemonic Betrayal. Really, really fun deck. We have the Lotlith Zombie Gruesome Menagerie deck. This definitely needs some changes. I'm thinking of just getting rid of Lotlith. There's a couple of different directions I can go with this deck. So the whole theory with this deck is to reanimate a Lotlith Giant, which with the Connive to concoct. But I'm thinking there might be a better way to do that, and just by casting it with Liliana, Untouched by Death, and using it with like the Mending of Dominaria. So the Mending of Dominaria is going to get back every land that's in your graveyard once it does tick. And we have a ton of things that are throwing stuff in the graveyard, like the Stitcher Supplier and the Glowspore Shaman. And this also helps us just ditch blue. And then Liliana is also going to throw cards in your graveyard. Vraska can throw cards in your graveyard as well. I don't know how I like about Vraska. And that way, or Doom Whisperer as well. And then the Mending of Dominaria can get them all back. And then you can just hard cast the Lotlith Giant from your graveyard with Liliana's ultimate, a -3. That might be a better way to go about it than this Connive to concoct, because this ends up being a very awkward card in the deck. But I'll have to show you this deck in action sometime. It's pretty fun with the Diregraph Ghoul and Glowspore Shaman. This is a Gruesome Menagerie list. I'm thinking about dropping some cards to throw in the Graveyard Marshal, which is another 2-drop zombie, and then you just have this nice little zombie curve that actually gives a lot of decks problems. Like that blue control deck that I was playing against earlier. So very, very good card. This is more of a gruesome zombies list. Maybe I'll have to put this higher into the Lotlet Giant. It'd be, I'm thinking the Mending of Dominaria might actually work in this particular deck rather than Connive Concoct, because it's going to give you enough mana to easily minus Liliana and hardcast the Lotlet Giant back from your graveyard. So yeah, I think Connive is kind of cool, but it just gets so stuck in the hand, doesn't add towards creature counts. Whereas the Surveil 3 does a little bit, but Mending of Dominaria will put 4 in the graveyard, and actually get back some relevant cards while it's triggering. So we'll have to look into that. Other than that, I have just kind of do the same run-of-the-mill decks. This is the more mainstream Gruesome Menandry deck with the Wildgrowth Walker and Fine Finality version. Just need some more Jadelight Rangers to make this a thing. Oh, this is actually, yeah, Vivid Revival. This is my take on trying to make Vivid Revival work. This is one of my top 10 cards that I'm working on. And then, of course, we have another version of Azor's Gateway. This one using Primal Amulet and Mirari Conjecture with Azor's Gateway. And just all blue spells. So there's only one of a creature in this deck of the Dream Eater. I'm thinking about putting another Crackling Drake just because it forces people to have some sort of removal for it. Nimmizet's in the sideboard here, but that's another deck we might have to play. Again, I just need to find some time to stream. We also have the Arclight Phoenix deck I haven't given up on. Mono Red Experimental Frenzy is basically your go-to Experimental Frenzy deck at the moment. So those are the decks I'm working on. I'll try to stream. I also have a Pauper deck that I've been working on. Then we might have to fire up the old MTGO, as well as a Death Shadow list with Postmortem Lunge of all cards that actually looks pretty good in a Death Shadow Arclight Phoenix deck. It's running a lot of ways to reanimate the Death Shadow and then swinging for lethal. So I've got some cool lists that are in the making, and just check back and we'll try to stream this within the next week. Anyway, this has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.